think it was the right thing to do.
Okay, and that incident, as you're saying, that's the one, the alleged brake testing that is going to the stewards. Dr. Helmut Marko's just told our German counterparts that they have the data to prove that he didn't. I mean, it looked like, from the overhead, it looked like he slowed down, there was room to the left. But I think the question is, did the lead car get the information before the training car, i.e. Lewis Hamilton? Because that's what Ron Meadows was complaining about.
Lewis didn't know what was happening, it's quite possible he misunderstood the situation. And listening to the to and fro from Massey and Ron Meadows, yes, it does sound as if Lewis didn't get the information. We'll find out in a minute. But there was a sudden deceleration, I would say, of why would you drive into the back of a car if you were... It was obviously slowing. But maybe Lewis just didn't quite interpret the situation.
Okay, your initial reaction was it was a brake test when he brake tested him.
Yeah, it was. That was my original. And looking at it again, it looks again to me like Max has slowed again. But on second looking at it, okay, I would say that Max may well have thought, where is he going? I've got to slow down. I've got to let him pass. And Lewis didn't understand the situation.
Okay, Paul, before you come in, right, let's just go. Let's just listen to this if we could. Let's hear Max's onboard. Okay, so what do you think? He's down 5 gears.
He's definitely lifted. He's lifted to let him pass, but you need to listen to Lewis's onboard as well, because Lewis lifts downshifts at the same point, because I watched it back in race control, and that's what I can't understand, why Lewis hesitated to go by, and you'll see it when you watch Lewis's onboard as well.
Presumably that's the confusion that we're talking about.
Exactly, because if Lewis didn't understand what was happening, he might have been nervous about putting himself alongside Max, given what has happened in the past. So he may have been staying behind him and not understanding which way Max was going to go.
Okay, let's hear Lewis's onboard.
Right.
You can clearly hear Lewis is slowing up, and that's the point. I don't understand why Lewis hasn't gone by. Is there a mixed message from the team? And that's what I couldn't get in my ears, because there was a lot of chat going on the radio. You're trying to listen to 4 people, and I'm trying to pick the bones out to give the information. But when you see it on board, you see what I'm talking about, where that hesitation came from.
I think Lewis didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
I think that's what it looks like to me.
In the heat of battle, though, I mean, you saw the reaction, obviously, from inside the Mercedes camp. We're now getting a bit of incredulity. Driver of the day went to Max Verstappen from the fans, who, I mean, he took a bit of comfort from that. I can't remember what he said exactly afterwards, but they know that I'm just racing. Right, okay, let's go to the Sky Pad. Let's bring Anthony into this. Anthony, what more have you got for us on this?
Yeah, well, Simon, just to look at this clip again, I got the side-by-side. You've already seen it, but there's one thing to remember here. I think there might have been a little bit of gamesmanship going on because of the DRS detection point coming up, and I believe this is what maybe they're both playing at here, because this line is the critical thing. That line there is the DRS detection point. If you're within 1 second of the car in front of you, you get DRS, don't forget, down that next straight. So I think they were kind of racing towards this one, and that's why in the repass that Max did the second time around, that's why I think he immediately went for it. So he made sure that he had the DRS to cover himself off the next time around. So I just wonder in desperation to get to that line and make sure you're behind that car to re-attack them down the main straight. Maybe that was what's going on, and it adds another element to the confusion for all and the stewards as well. Back to you.
But it just shows you these guys, again, in the heat of battle, are thinking about how they're going to retake the lead the next time.
It's a very fair point that Ad makes, and something I never thought about, that line coming up. But at the same point, what the FIA will be looking at, and the stewards will be looking at how much they both slowed up, and they both slowed up significantly, the two of them, to try and do that. So.
Well, Ron Meadows has just come past us. We're going to hear his radio message in a minute to Michael Massey, but the simple fact was that he said he just didn't have enough time to relay the information to Bono to get to Lewis.
Yeah, he just told me that Lewis didn't know. He hadn't been able to get the information to Lewis. So Lewis doesn't know what's happening. Max does, and I think Anson's completely sealed it for me. He's seen the DRS zone. He knows he has to slow down and get Lewis to pass. Lewis doesn't know he's slowing down to let him pass.
Okay, I think we've got that for you as well. Let's just reiterate exactly what we said.
Are we allowed to go by him? to slow up and let us. We had no idea who's going to do that.
Excuse me, Ron, I came over and told you, if you've got other channels going...
No, you told me as it happened. I was telling the engineer at the time.
Okay, well, Ron, I can only push as many buttons as I can. It'd be Michael Massey and it'd be the stewards on a day like tonight.
There's a slight contradiction there. He said he was too late, and then he said he was speaking to the engineer when it happened.
It might be that what he said is that Michael Massey had spoken to him, so he was relaying the information to the engineer to give it to Lewis.
But if they're trying to get DRS lines and trying to race, that's where I don't think it's right what they're trying to... If they're both trying to do that, you shouldn't be looking for that if you're trying to get the position back.
It does look to me like it's a less malicious move by Max than we first saw.
Okay. If we are to peg it all back and think about what might have happened, in the final reckoning, the medium tyres that Max were on were going off towards the end, so might he have taken them anyway?
Yes, possibly, but you're almost going to argue who got the most damage out of that, because there's a lot of damage on the front of Lewis's car, but you could see, you don't know what the Red Bull's like in the back, but they were two big hits. I don't know how the two of them still continue, to be honest.
I mean, really, if you add up all the incidents we've had this race, I call it a race, I mean, it was a series of races, and, I mean, how any of the cars survived. I mean, there have been touches and bits falling off.
But Lewis's best chance was going to be the end of the race to overtake. Definitely going to be his best chance. I think Red Bull threw that tyre on because of their poor starts before, and they had to do it. And it worked because they've got track position by getting into turn one in that time.
There's another element to bring up. Whilst it was exciting for everybody, you know, what we saw out there today was there just too much of an element of it being a bit of a lottery and chance. We knew we were going to get safety cars. We got a lot of debris on the track. We got 3 virtual safety cars on top of the 2 safety cars. So was it just, in a championship like this with 2 rounds to go, throwing in a brand new track like this, which is the fastest ever track, which is street track,
complete unknown.
It's the same for everybody.
It's the same for everyone, and that is as big a challenge I think you're going to get as a Formula One team of engineers or drivers or race organisers as well. So a bunch of things. I mean, everybody's earned their money this weekend and been under enormous pressure to make the right decision. It's inevitable that someone may have got it wrong somewhere along the line.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Damon where it is. I mean, it's hard, and you've got another new track coming up, in a sense, in Abu Dhabi. You don't fully know what's going to happen there either, but it's kind of showdown, isn't it?
We're working our way backwards. Let's go to the second restart, and this, as far as if I can remember this correctly, I think this was the great move, wasn't it, for Max? It just opened up for him. Moses passing the Red Sea, and he went down. A great move.
That was a great move. I mean, there's no, you can't complain about that. That was a clean pass, and off he went.
Yeah, I mean, I think those tyres and having that aggressive tyre on there, whereas I think Lewis is kind of predicted he's not going to do it, and Lewis was quite lucky not to lose his front wing when he hit the Alpine as well, but from there on in it was track position, and I think that's why they decided to go for that tyre at that point.